You are listening to Audio SSLC, your audio medium for easy understanding and revision. To download a copy of this recording, please visit audiosslc.com. Business Studies, Unit 1, Banking Transactions. We learn about the following in this chapter: meaning of banks, characteristics of banks and post offices in financial transactions and types of banks, different accounts that can be opened in a bank, methods to open accounts in banks, advantages of bank accounts. Banks developed about 200 years ago. The nature of banks has changed as the time has changed. The term bank is related to financial transactions. Banks are financial institutions which use the money deposited by customers as investments and agree to return whenever they require. Banks advance loans to the customers and charge interest on them. Banks exchange the money of different countries. The development of any country depends on the efficient banking system of that country. Banks advance money to agriculture, industries, traders, and all other sections of a society which are the main organs for the development of a country and accelerate the growth of the country. What is a bank? The term bank is derived from Italian word banco or from a French word banque. Both mean a bench or money exchange table. A banking company may be defined as a company which transacts the business with finance. It accepts deposits from the public and lends it to those who need it in the form of loans. It receives money from those who want to save their money in the form of deposits and lends it to those who require in the form of loans. The services of banks are called banking. A bank repays the deposits in the form of checks, drafts, or in some other forms. Let's learn about the characteristics of banks. 1. Dealing with money. Banks are financial institutions which deal with money of the public. 2. Individual or firm or company. Bank may be a person, firm, or a company. Banking company means the institution that deals with money. 3. Acceptance of deposits. Banks accept deposits from the public. These deposits are returned whenever the customers demand it or after a prescribed period. Banks provide security to these deposits. Banks act as custodians of the deposits of the public. 4. Lending loans. Banks advance loans to industrial sector, agricultural sector, education, house construction, and for other purposes. 5. Payment and withdrawal. Banks facilitate the customers to withdraw their deposits in the form of checks or drafts. 6. Agency and utility services. Banks provide various banking facilities to its customers. They include general utility services and agency services. 7. Profit and service orientation. A bank is a profit-seeking institution having service-oriented approach. 8. Ever-increasing functions. Banks continuously expand and diversify their functions, services, and activities. 9. Connecting link. Banks act as connecting link between the depositors and borrowers. Banks collect surplus money of the customers and lend the same to those who are in need of money. 10. Banking business. The main activity of the bank is banking business, that is, accepting deposits from the customers and lending the same to those who need money. It is not a subsidiary to any other business. 11. Name identity. Banks always add bank to their names. Example: Canara Bank, Vijaya Bank, Corporation Bank, State Bank of India, State Bank of Mysore, etc. It enables the customers to know in which bank they are dealing with money. You have to note here that now all state banks are merged with State Banks of India. Functions of banks: 1. Accepting deposits from public and others. 2. Lending money to public, that is in the form of loans, and other institutions. 3. Transferring money from one place to another, that is remittances. 4. Collecting money on checks, drafts, and bills, 5. Discounting of bills. 6. Hiring safe deposit lockers. 7. Conducting foreign exchange transactions. 8. Keeping valuables in safe custody. 9. Issuing letters of credit and guarantee. 10. Conducting government transactions, that is, state and central. Next, let's learn about the relationship between bankers and customers. The relation between a banker and customers falls under two broad categories, namely 1. General relationship. 2. Special relationship. 1. General relationship. In that we have primary relationship, that is debtor and creditor relationship. Next comes subsidiary relationship, that is trustee and beneficiary relationship. And next comes agent and principal relationship. Number 2, special relationship. Here the banks have the obligation to honor checks. Then there is the obligation to maintain secrecy of accounts. In the activity, visit a bank and collect information about how bank lends money for higher education. Let's learn about services offered by banks. 1. Debit card and credit cards. 2. Personal loans. 3. Home and vehicle loans. 4. Mutual funds. 5. Safe deposit lockers. 6. Trust services. 7. Signature guarantees. 8. E-banking. Coming to banking transactions, that is banks and post offices. Any sort of activity involving in money or exchange of money in an account is viewed as bank transaction. Banks are institutions that deal with money. Banks keep money of the customers in the form of deposits, and the money thus collected is lent to the customers who need money as loans. These loans are called bank loans. Banks lend money and collect interest on loans. A part of interest collected on loans is given to the depositors as interest. This interest forms the income to the depositors. Banks invest the customers' money in national and international business and increase their funds. All the banking transactions in India are controlled by the Reserve Bank of India, that is RBI, which is known as Mother of Banks or Bankers' Bank or Central Bank of India. RBI formulates the monetary policy which should be followed by all banks. Today we have State Bank Group, 20 nationalized banks, 21 private banks and 19 foreign banks. The network of banks consists of 8,000 bank branches. There are rural banks, regional banks, government and private banks also. The recent development in banking industry is the inclusion of post offices into its fold. The Indian Postal Department is planning to start a bank to be tentatively called the Postal Bank of India, with a network of post offices spread all over India. 90% of them are in and around semi-urban and rural areas. The department is already providing various financial services, including a post office savings bank, issue of National Savings Certificate, Kisan Vikas Patra, monthly recurring deposits, postal life insurance, pension payment, money transfer, etc. The Postal Department is promoting a capital investment of 1,000 crore rupees for the bank transactions. It will be set up as a subsidiary with the Postal Department. In the activity, visit a post office and collect information about its banking operations.
You are listening to Audio SSLC, your audio medium for easy understanding and revision.
To download a copy of this recording, please visit audiosslc.com. Next, moving on to the types of banks. There are different types of banks. Each type of bank is specialized in different types of activities. The important types of banks are Central Bank or Reserve Bank of India, commercial banks, industrial development banks, land development banks, indigenous banks, that is money lenders or sahukars. Then there are cooperative banks. The details about these banks have been learnt in economics section of previous class. Let's learn about types of bank accounts. Generally, 4 kinds of accounts can be opened in a bank. They are 1. Savings bank account, 2. Current account, 3. Recurring deposit account, 4. Term or fixed deposit account. In the activity, know the rate of interest offered by banks for various types of accounts. Number 1. Savings bank account. This type of account is generally opened in banks by salaried persons or by the persons who have a fixed regular income. This facility is also given to the students, senior citizens, pensioners, etc. Savings accounts are opened to encourage people to save money and pool their savings. There is no restriction on the number and amount of deposits. The money can be withdrawn either by check or through a withdrawal slip available in the respective bank. Number 2. Current account. Current account is opened by businessmen who have a large number of regular transactions with the bank. It includes deposits, withdrawals, and contra transactions. In current account, amount can be deposited or withdrawn any number of times in a day. Generally, banks do not give any interest on these deposits, but collect service charges or bank charges on such account. Number 3. Recurring deposit account. These deposit accounts are generally opened for a purpose to be saved for a future date. For future requirements, deposits are made regularly on monthly basis, like for the purposes of wedding, expenses of children to buy costly items like land, car, etc. After the period is over, the total amount is repaid with interest. Number 4. Term or fixed deposit account. This type of account is opened for a fixed period by depositing a particular sum of money. That is, the term of the deposit may be a month, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years. The deposit amount cannot be withdrawn before the expiry of the term. The rate of interest is more depending upon the term in this deposit account. In the activity part, find out the interest payable monthly on an FD of 50,000 rupees at 8% per annum. Let's get to procedures to open a bank account. Nowadays, banks have emerged as important financial institutions. Banks provide a safe environment and help to manage financial transactions. To avail professional banking service, it is mandatory for every individual to open a bank account. Opening a bank account is not a difficult task. It takes 7 steps to open a bank account. They are: 1. Decide the type of account which you want to open. There are several types of bank accounts such as savings bank account, current account, recurring deposit account, and fixed deposit or term deposit account. Decide which type of account you want to open in the bank. Number 2. Approach the bank of your choice and meet its office. Once you have decided to open a particular type of account, approach the bank officer and inform him about your wish to open the account. The bank officer will give you the required forms and instructions. Number 3. Fill up the bank account form or proposal form. Fill up this form in all respects such as your name, address, occupation, and other details in the spaces provided. Make 2 or 3 specimen signatures on the specimen signature card. This signature should not be changed. If the account is to be opened in joint names, then the form must be signed jointly and specimen signatures should be given in separate specimen signature cards. Nowadays, the banks insist on submitting the passport size photographs for the purpose of identification. Submit them. Now, submitting self-attested copy of Aadhaar card is mandatory. Number 4. Give reference for opening your bank account. Banks normally require reference or introduction of the prospective account holder by any of the existing account holder or some respectable person. The introducer introduces the prospective account holder by signing his specimen signature in the column meant for it. This reference or introduction is required to safeguard the interest of the bank. 5. Submit the bank account form duly filled. In all respects and along with required documents, that is address proof, PAN card, Aadhaar card, photographs, etc. 6. The officer will verify all the particulars submitted. He checks whether the form is filled completely in all respects and the other documents. If he is satisfied, then he clears the proposal form. 7. Initial deposit. After getting the proposal form cleared, the initial amount is deposited in the bank through challan. Then the bank issues a passbook, a checkbook, and a pay-in slip book in case of savings accounts. In case of term deposit or fixed deposit, a separate form has to be filled in and fixed deposit receipt is issued. In the case of current account, a checkbook is issued. For recurring deposit account, passbook and pay-in slip book are issued. Know this. Joint account is an account which is opened and operated by 2 or more persons. Next, let's know the advantages of opening bank account. Bank account facilitates safe custody of money. Bank account helps in making payments. Bank account helps in collection of money. Bank account holders get advances and loans. Bank account helps in smooth financial transactions. Bank account holders can get safe deposit locker facility. Coming to exercises, fill in the blanks. Number 1. The word bank has been derived from the French word dash. 2. The banker's bank is dash. 3. An example for nationalized bank is dash. 4. The national savings certificates are issued by dash. 5. The type of account where any number of transactions can be made in a day with bank is dash. 6. The deposits for a fixed term can be deposited in dash account. Next, answer the questions after discussion with your friends. Number 1. What is a bank? 2. List out the characteristics relating to bank transactions. 3. What are the functions of a bank? 4. Explain the relationship between the banker and its customers. 5. The number of saving bank account holders is increasing. Give reasons. 6. What are the advantages of opening a bank account? Coming to activity, make a list of the names of the banks which you know. Visit the branch of a bank and collect information regarding getting the periodical interest banks offer to term deposit account. Next, in the project work, prepare a report on how to open a bank account by visiting a bank at your place, and if you need, open savings bank account by consulting bank officer.